We could not be more thrilled to welcome not only the 15th head coach in Oklahoma basketball history, but the next great coach in Oklahoma basketball history. Ladies and gentlemen, will you join me in welcoming Porter Moser? All right, so a little bit of transition. We were able to get the Moser family all outfitted in Sooner gear, but we want to be able to give Coach, your first polo, your first basketball polo, your first coach's whistle, and you're definitely going to need these, your first pair of Jordans.
Pick my kids on it.
See, for those of you shoe dogs out there, these are the Jordan 4s, sort of synonymous with getting our program back to the Final Four and pursuing those championships we all aspire to have. So, Coach, there'll probably be a few more pairs where these came from, but anyway, congratulations. Thank you all for coming here. And ladies and gentlemen, once again, the new head coach of the Oklahoma Sooners, Porter Moser.
Thank you for this unbelievable welcome. President Harris, thank you so much for this opportunity. Just enjoyed so much meeting you and your energy, and I'll talk about that. Joe, I'm going to talk about your energy and your vision, but I first want to thank God for having his hands on me and my family to put us in this situation and the opportunity to coach at Oklahoma. That is first and foremost in my life to thank. Second, I know President Harris said, when I look at the Moser family, I see a family who just stole all my gear. I had about 5 bags worth, and now I'm down to one. But my wife and I have been together for close to 30 years. She's been in this coaching journey, and any coach's spouse will tell you you have to have an amazing partner to go through with this. And she's been by my side the whole time. And my 4 kids, who just had this go-with-the-flow attitude of resiliency in this profession. And that is a big thing in this profession, and I'm so blessed to have this family core unit by my side. Joe, when I first started talking about Joe, his reputation precedes itself all over the country, in all circles. And that's something, that I was looking for, is that alignment, because I had that alignment. And when you start digging in and really getting to know Joe and talking to him, I was Jesuit educated at Creighton University, and I've coached at a Jesuit school, and the Jesuits have a mantra, and it's men and women for others. And talking to Joe and just seeing how much of a servant leader he is here at Oklahoma, and how listening to his vision about what Oklahoma's about, it was everything I was looking for. It was everything I was looking for. And building a culture takes time. Building a culture is at the utmost important how you do it. And what drew me to Oklahoma is winning the right way. And seeing the coaches, the outreach from the coaches here. Everybody says the same thing. It's a family atmosphere. It's a family atmosphere. And to coach at the highest level in the Big 12 Conference in a family atmosphere-driven university is what any coach, especially me, covets and looks forward to. And that is what is so special about this journey. I want to thank Coach Lon Kruger for being the man he is, for being the coach he is, as a young coach coming up in this profession, never knowing that I would be in the shoes trying to attempt to follow him. He's what a young coach should aspire to be. He pours into his student athletes. He competes with tenacity. and he has impeccable character along the way. And I've thanked him for a number of things, his ear, his advice, but I know what I'm going to be thanking him the most for as the months to come. Because sometimes in this profession, you can take over a new job and you walk into a culture and it is just horrible. It takes a lot of time. People here do things the right way. The student athletes, the way they operate, the way they are academically, the way they are off the floor in the community. It's the right way. So I thank him for that. I'm not coming in here and using the word rebuild. I want to use the word enhance. I want to enhance the brand. I want to enhance the Loyola basketball brand. I want to enhance the traditions that have gone on here and add my energy and add my personal touch to what has been years and decades of excellence here. I'm looking forward to enhance that. I'm looking forward to meeting the people. I said yesterday, the people that don't know Porter Moser soon will. Part of what I'm about is high energy pouring into others, high energy pouring into my student athletes. I believe I love that term, servant leadership, what President Joe talked about. And that's the thing is my first task is to build those relationships, to build the relationships with the current student athletes, build the relationship with the people in the community, build the relationship with the other coaches and learn from them, the administration, because that is the collaboration that is worthwhile. See, when you're younger, I'm a young 52, I promise you, I'm a young, high energetic 52. But when you're young, I got in this profession. I got done playing my college basketball at Creighton, and right away I got in. I was one of those guys that didn't have any delusions of grandeur that I was going to be in the NBA or overseas. I cut my ties early with those dreams, and I wanted to coach. And early on in your coaching career, you think about the trajectory. Where am I going? The success, the money, this, you think about that. And the older you get, you think about the journey. You think about the journey. And that has been what's been so rewarding for me these last 10 years at Loyola. Because I'd be remiss if I didn't thank the people at Loyola for giving me that opportunity to leading with me a culture of servant leadership, to pouring into that program. And we built a culture based on sustainability. See, Coach Majerus told me when we took over St. Louis, he was always asking me questions like when we'd recruit. Does he love to play? Is he a great kid? Is he high character? Does he want to get his degree? And you add up all those initial questions, and it sums up what he said: build a program, not a team. Because a program is sustainable. A program is sustainable. And that's what we were so blessed to do at Loyola. This last run only had 2 players from the first one. But the blueprint was high character, tough, winning kids. Then we recruited to a certain skill set, which I'm sure I'm going to get asked a million questions about my style. But that was the blueprint. And to sustain it is what it's about. And that's Oklahoma. Why Oklahoma? Because you can sustain excellence the right way for a long period of time. And you've done it. So there's no word rebuild in my focus. My focus is I want to enhance, add, build more, enhance the culture. And that's what I'm excited to do at this unbelievable university. I thank you for welcoming me, unbelievable. I thank you for welcoming my family. I look forward to not only weeks to come, the months to come, the years to come. I look for the vision of filling this thing. I love when people say I can't do something. I love when people say we can't fill this thing night in and night out. I love that challenge because that's one thing with me too. The student body, the excitement here, the contagious, all that is contagious, and all that is contagious. And when it's about relationships. They're going to get to know Porter Moser. They're going to get to know my team. I know they already do, but we'll have a lot of newcomers as well. But I want to thank you for this opportunity to be your head coach. I want to honor it, I'm going to respect it, and you're going to get 110% of Porter Moser every single day as I'm your Oklahoma men's basketball coach. Thank you for your welcome.
Thank you, Coach. We will now move to the media portion of our event. I have a list of reporters who would like to ask a question, so please wait until I call on you. And since we're not using a community microphone today, please make sure you speak loudly enough for Coach to hear you. First question will be from Eric Bailey of the Tulsa World, and then we'll go to Joe Bettner. Eric?
Norman, Coach.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you, roster that's a little fractured. That's unlike any programs across the country with the transfer portal. Just what's your goal, your timeline for replenishing the roster, and have you made any contact with players that may be considered current players that consider transferring or going pro?
The question was about the roster. There's some players in the transfer portal. What's my timeline to replace it? And have I made contact with any of them? Yes, I've had a Zoom with them. I've talked to them individually. So my first task at hand is build relationships with the current players. Getting to know them, getting to know me, sharing their vision. Because relationships, you build a program through relationships to build your culture where they want to be a part of something bigger than themselves. If there's no relationship and no trust, sometimes they're on their own. We want to build an atmosphere where everyone's pulling for each other, and that takes time with that. So yes, there's a lot of roster spots open, but I'm looking forward to building the ones there. We've been reaching out to the young student athletes that have already committed here and building that relationship. Ironically, I had recruited them before, so that was a great transition. And then we're hitting the ground running recruiting. So I know there's a lot of work to do to get the roster filled, and that's one of the top priorities. I will not bend on the blueprint. High character, high talented kids that fit this, but the transfer portal's a different market. It's a different market right now of getting it, but that's a part of it. It can't be the sole basis of all your recruiting. You still want to build young kids to develop them, skill development, bring them into your culture, and have familiarity with your fan base. So looking forward to even building more. All so far has just been over the phone with the current student athletes. I'm looking forward to meeting with them individually, face-to-face, building that relationship with them, the ones that are coming back. And then I'm already been hitting the ground running, recruiting.
Okay, let's go to Joe Bettner with the Norman transcript, and then Jenny Carlson.
Porter, after Illinois State, you went to St. Louis and spent some time there. What did you learn from that time as far as getting back to being a head coach, and how has that maybe forged your path to where you are now 10 years later after taking a Loyola job?
So the question was, my time at St. Louis, I think, what did I learn from Coach Majerus? And I'll say this about adversity in your life. Sometimes when people go over my resume, they don't want to say it, or they say it with a little pause about Illinois State. And I'll tell you one thing I've learned through my faith, through my journey, is you learn more through adversity than you do successes. And I went through a well-documented, I signed with 7 years, was there 4, and I was let go. That has been a blessing that God laid on me more than anything in my life, because you learn more from those situations. I'm not shy to talk about it. I don't back away. I don't hang my head over a down part of my life. I raised my head up, and I'm thankful for that time. I then went to St. Louis to be with Rick Majerus, and there began another part of God's plan and what I've learned. He was one of the best basketball minds I've ever been around. To sit in a boardroom and watch his mind twist, turn, and pivot and talk about game planning. The attention to detail on how he did skill development. The things that he stood for. And how he treated my family, how he ran the program. I couldn't have learned more. And I said this, I think I said this to Joe yesterday. When Loyola came, he put his arm around me and said, "You have to go. That job is perfect for you. And go build a program." And we lost him too early. And if he was here in my last 3 weeks, he would have put his arm around me and say, "You've got to go to Oklahoma. That's a perfect fit for you, Porter." And that's what he would have said to me. But what I learned is just an amazing, to be in the boardroom for 4 straight years of learning from an amazing mind about the game and about skill development, about the attention to detail. You know, if you want to hold people accountable. See, that's the thing about Coach Majerus. People look at him and how he was on kids. And the thing that I found that was such a big part of my journey and my parenthood, you can hold, because everyone talks about old school kids, you can hold young people accountable. You have to hold young people accountable. But there's got to be love and trust there. Accountability and love go hand in hand. You can't just come in here and try to expect and hold these kids accountable and push them farther than they think they can go without building a trust and a love and a relationship. And he was unbelievable at that, whether people realize it or not, of what I witnessed in there. And that's one of the biggest things I learned from him. And it was God's plan of going through the adversity that I went through.
Okay, Jenny Carlson, the Oklahoman, and then Bob Frisbillo.
Hey, Porter,
Hi, Jenny.
how are you?
Good.
Hey, so your teams, a lot of punch above their weight? I know it's a lot of things that would come into play there, but what do you feel like those teams that have done that? What are those fingerprints of those teams? And then the fact that you're coming into the Big 12, just won a national championship, some blue bloods in Kansas especially. I would assume that punching above your weight is going to be necessary in the Big 12.
So the question was, at Loyola, watching our team of the Final Four year 2018 and this run, we punched above our weight. And then moving into the Big 12, looking at some of the teams, the national championship, especially starting out, we're going to be punching above our weight. And to the first part about Loyola, punching above our weight, is we build a culture and a belief in our locker room that we didn't feel we were punching above the weight. We didn't feel that way. You know, we felt we could beat anybody in the country. But that took time. It took time to get a group believing that the greater glory comes in everything as a team. You know, to get them that trust relationship I was talking about, to where you get them to be, it's not a buy-in, it's a believe in that collectively you're playing for each other, unbelievable things can happen. And that was a trademark of our teams. If you watched us, how connected we were, how every person from the managers to the walk-ons to the trainer, everybody brought value. And that collective outreach of value is why people thought we punched above our weight. And, you know, that's why it was so hard to lose. We went into the tournament every year with this mentality of not just happy to be here because we were Loyola. We were gut-wrenched losing to Michigan, to advance to the final game. We thought we were going to win it all. We were gut-wrenched. Everyone thought we beat Illinois. I mean, inside our locker room, it was a confident respect. It wasn't a cockiness. It wasn't everything. It was just a confident respect. We didn't feel like we were punching above our weight. Now, coming into the Big 12, it's about building that same culture and belief in your locker room that you don't feel like you're punching above the weight. Now, there's a process. There's developing the roster, developing the talent on the roster, developing the culture on the roster. That does take time. We have a lot of roster spots to fill. That's going to take time and bring them all together. But I love the pieces that are coming back. I love the pieces that are coming in. And you're going to love also the pieces that we're going to add. And, Big 12's one, if not, probably, in my opinion, they just won the national championship, the best conference in the country. 7 out of 10 went to the tournament. I mean, it's a standard of excellence. So we got to be ready to punch that weight. And we got to develop that roster, and we will do that.
Below Sooner Scoop, and then Cliff Brunt.
Welcome, Porter.
Thank you.
The way you've recruited, you've been very successful for years and years. Can you bring that same type of principles and philosophies to OU, or is there some type of adjustment that you're going to have to make?
No, it's the same principles. I don't want to change our blueprint. I just feel like we're going to be involved with a higher level student athlete. There's to get winners, to get young men that want to get a great degree, that want to compete for championships, that want to do the right thing. All that, just you got a lot of resources. You got a league to sell that to. So that's what I'm excited about. And it's already I hit the ground running with that. So the recruiting, you got to recruit to how you want to play, who you are, and we're going to continue to do that at Oklahoma. And I have no question. I just know the way I am in recruiting. It's just I have a high energy about it. I have a high energy about building relationships and having guys understand the way we're going to play is going to be a successful way.
Okay, we'll go to Cliff Brunt with Associated Press, and then Dean Blevins.
Yeah, Coach, there's several coaches in this conference that have coached the Final Four, a couple that have won national championships. Just your thoughts, you mentioned being competitive on the chess match of being against some of the best coaches in America night in and night out.
The question was, there's several coaches in this conference that have been to the Final Four, and how do I look forward to the chess match? I look forward to it, because I've been on that stage too. And I'm not going to take a back seat. I think there's some of the best coaches in the country in this league, top to bottom. Some of the best coaches, and we're going to have to build it. We're going to have to get in here and finish out the roster. We have to develop the players that are coming back, continue to develop the players that are coming back. But no question about the challenge. No question about how good the Big 12 is. Some established programs, as we just saw one win a national championship. But that's the fun of it. That's the fun of it. That's what's drawn me to be here, to play at the highest level and win the right way. I mean, I can't say more of a mission statement than that. I'm looking forward to that with these coaches. And I'm looking forward to the process. I loved walking in to the Griffin Center with Blake Griffin and the Griffin family, and the word process, and my kids hit me on the shoulder and said, or leg and said, Dad, you always use that word process. There's a process to all this, all right? There's a process, and it starts winning the day. We got to win the day in April, in May, in June. We got to win these days, or next March doesn't happen. And that's a yearly process. You know, so many young guys, I want to be a pro. I want to be a pro. And I always ask them, okay, you want to be a pro? That's awesome. What does pro stand for? Stands for professional. What does professional do in every walk of life? A professional takes care of their business. A professional works as hard as they can and hire. A professional acts the right way, respects what they're doing. And that's what I love about what Coach Kruger done. Coach Kruger's a professional. He's run his program as a professional. And I'm looking to enhance that. But there's a process that we have to go through this summer to get better, bringing guys in. I really believe that. I don't know, I'm flying off the handle. You'll get to know me doing that. I'm going down the rabbit hole of another question. But about some teams that relied on all young people this year. Well, with COVID, you missed that process of having them on campus all summer. You missed that process of acclimating them to college life. A lot of these freshmen around the country came to college, and it was just a different world than it was what normal people, what we usually used to. So that part of the process missed on younger people. We're looking forward to getting that process with some young people right away, because it does take time, and you got to win the day starting now.
Dean Blevins, News 9, and then Austin Curtwright.
Coach, getting fans in the stands has been an issue throughout. It somewhat relates to style. So if you can tie those two together, we know what defensively you've done and presume that will move forward. Offensively, if you sign the type of recruit you want, what type of style can we look for?
Okay, the question was, there's been talk about filling the stands here, and then style sometimes has to do with that. What's my style to do that? But let's start with filling the stands. I can hear by the echo how loud this place can get, and I will tell you that over and over when I took over Loyola, I sat at the press conference 10 years ago, and people said to me, Chicago's a pro town. It's a pro town. Nobody comes to the games. I said it's a sports town. It's a sports town. And that's the thing about students. They love sports. They love watching something exciting. They love watching something they want to do, and they got to feel a part of it. When I took over at Loyola, you could have gone to the first media timeout. I could have walked to half court, pulled out my driver, and hit a golf ball, and it would have just bounced around and not hit anybody. We weren't getting anybody at the games. We were selling out every game. We were like 38-2 in our last 40 games there, creating a home court advantage. And the students, whether it's I got to go pass out hot dogs, whether I got to go speak at their fraternity or sorority, sign me up. And I know they've been doing that here. So that's not a new idea. They're just going to get to know Porter Moser. And they're going to get to know how much it means to me to come in here and hear this thing filled up. I had an unbelievable relationship with the student body at Loyola. And I'm looking so forward to having that same relationship here at Oklahoma. But it means everything to fill this up. It's a home court advantage. It's a home court, because I know when I'm going to Allen Fieldhouse and I'm going to this other place, it's going to be full. So we're going to give them that same kind of welcome here, and I look forward to trying to build that where every seat is filled here. The style of play, the second part was the style of play. He mentioned our defense. That's the misnomer about that if you were within our locker room about that. Because sometimes when people say defense, they think that it's just going to be just defense when you walk into the program. And our whole mantra that was defense creates offense. You can run on misses. You can run off turnovers. You look at our offensive efficiency numbers, look them up. They were in the top 50. There's only like 4 or 5 that did both. Everyone talked about our defense because we were number 1 in the country in defense, but our offense was also way up there. 5 straight years in the Missouri Valley. First time in the history of that league, we led the league in field goal percentage. 5 years in a row, field goal percentage. Efficient, running. I start every walkthrough with my team. We do offense on one end, we go over our offensive game plan, then we walk and they sit down on the baseline and we talk about the defensive game plan. And I start every shoot around with, we got to run. We got to get the tempo going. We got to pass it ahead, space it. You get that by guarding. I talk about it in the recruiting process. People ask me like, you know, I know you're talking about defense. I'm like, you know what I'm talking about? I'm talking about being a two-way player. That's the buzzword now at the highest level, is a two-way player. Kobe, LeBron, Klay Thompson, Kawhi Leonard, they're two-way players. That's what I like talking to our young student athletes about, being a two-way player. And so the style is that way. The style is defense is going to create offense. Defense is going to create turnovers and run in space, be efficient, and play together.
Austin, Kurt Wright, OU Daily, and then James Hale.
When you were at Loyola, a few times I saw the times where you write for the paper, getting students to try to come, you know, whether it was paying for students to travel to road games. How do you sort of expect to bring that same sort of small energy to the Power 5 school?
So the question was that at Loyola saw that I wrote letters to the student newspaper talking about the students. I went and spoke a lot to the students. I paid for myself 3 buses to travel to a road game for the students to Valparaiso, and that is part of what I'm going to do here. But there's more students. There's more students. I got to get more buses. Joe, I got to get more buses, and you know that's part of it. And so nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to change. I love being a part of it. I'm not going to be this head coach that's on this island. That's, in a short version, that's why I said those that don't know me soon will. And I look forward to connecting with the students. There's just more of them. I don't think you can only do that in a small town atmosphere. And I think you can do that and enhance that here. There's more students to get excited. And I'll do anything for the student newspaper, so sign me up. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. To a certain degree.
Okay, we'll go to James Hale with KREF, and then Jason Kersey.
You have, through the grapevine, we've heard about 2 of your assistant coaches that you're going to bring in. You could talk about those guys if that's possible, and also, what do you look for in an assistant coach? How do you work with those guys?
I can't talk specifically about who I'm hiring yet until there's a process that has to go through. So, but I will tell you 2 things. One, what I look for is the extension of the values that I have. I like high energy guys. I don't like to pigeonhole assistant coaches. All right. I want to develop. I want everybody. I want every player on my team to be a pro. I don't shy away from that. If guys say they want a pro, that doesn't bother me. I want you to be a pro. Now, your work ethic and your commitment's got to equal that. Well, it's the same thing as head coach or assistant coaches. I want my assistant coaches to be in the mold of becoming a head coach someday. So I want them to be able to on-floor coach. I want them to be able to recruit. I want them to build relations in the community. I want them to be able to be in the budget meetings. I want them to be able to do my TV show if they want to do it and be in front of there. I'll do it most of the time, I promise, but I'd be able to be a guest on it. I want that. So, and I know where we're at with that, and we're getting that. We're getting that here. So I want an extension of me. I want a high energy. I want them to be guys that are the same with me. They're not going to be on an island. They're going to be outreached. We can learn so much from the OU programs here. The success of the other sports. I love picking the brain of other sports and see what they're doing. See what they're doing in recruiting. See what they're doing in team building. I can't wait to learn from the coaches in this department. Some unbelievable coaches, unbelievable success rate. And I want those assistant coaches to be what I've always been myself, lifelong learners. I want my coaches to be lifelong learners, finding new ways, finding things to enhance, finding new ideas in recruiting to attract the players that should be here. But the only thing I can say is that I'm going to get that, and we are getting that. Just can't say it yet.
Okay, we'll come over to the right to Jason Kersey with The Athletic, and then Garen Emig.
Hi, Porter. Since the Final Four especially, I'm sure you've had a lot of opportunities. So why Oklahoma, and why now? And then speaking of assistant coaches, can you confirm Sister Jean will be joining your staff also?
The question was, after the Final Four, I've had many opportunities. Why Loyola? And then can I confirm about Sister Jean? Like with Sister Jean, like everybody else, she's entering the transfer portal. She's been a true friend of mine, a true friend of the program, before she became a worldwide celebrity. And I know this. She is one of the best people person. She pours into those student athletes. She pours into the coaches. And we'll be friends for life. As long as we don't play the Ramblers, OU Sooners have a 101-year-old nun going to be praying for us. As long as we don't play the Sooners, or the Ramblers. What was the first part of your question?
Why Oklahoma?
Oh, why Oklahoma at this time? You know, it's never easy leaving something that you've invested in and love. And I'm not a jumper. I hope to plant roots here for a long, long time. I'm not a jumper. And I spent 10 years of my life there. But it was a place that I had an unbelievable alignment with the administration, with my athletic director. I had an unbelievable relationship, building a family. The former players' families would come to all the games on the road, and they'd tailgate. And the former players, we built such a family. And I wanted to have a place that would embrace it, that was doing that. And when I started talking to Joe and really digging in, and everything that he was saying was about the right way to building that experience, that culture for the student athletes. And it just blew me away. And to be able to be a part of that in the Big 12 Conference. I mean, it's just a perfect alignment for me to be at the highest level, to compete in that league, doing it the right way at a place that's culture-driven, family-driven, success-driven the right way. All those drives align with my drive.
Okay, Garen Emig, Tulsa World, and then we'll go to Barry Trammell.
Thank you.
You've spoken quite a bit this morning about the importance of player relationships. That's obviously going to be key with the holdovers from Lon. Can you tell me how your philosophy on the coach-player relationship has most evolved since your first year at Little Rock, say, 20 years ago?
Talk about how important player relationships are, and how they've evolved since when I started at Little Rock as a head coach. You know, I've always believed, like, the player relationship. I got into coaching because my player relationship with my college coach was Tony Baroni at Creighton. That's who I played for, and he had a huge impact on my life. And that's why I got into coaching, is the impact he had. And we had a family atmosphere, and that's been the basis of how I've run the program. A very close-knit, be a part of something bigger than yourself, play for the name on the front of the jersey, all those things. But I will say, I referenced it early about my journey. I feel the older you get, the more you're intentional of pouring into your players. I think I spend more time with it, you know. You can say that as a young coach, and sometimes there's so many balls in the air, and you're trying to do this, that, and the other, and you don't really carve out the true time to build that relationship, because young people know. And that's what I'm looking forward to do, because the current players that are here, that are here, that's not me in the last week. I've only been able to Zoom with them and talk on the phone. They're going to get a lot more of me in the weeks to come, if they so choose. And that's where it's changed with the transfer portal, being able to eligible immediately. It's part of life. It's part of life. That is. And I'm looking forward to building that relationship with these guys if they want it. If they choose that they want to do another place, that's their prerogative. But it's not going to be from a lack of effort, me trying to build that relationship. But I do find, to answer your question, from when I was younger, it's why I got in the profession. And then sometimes when you're young, you're doing it more, you're just flying around, and the older I got, the more intentional I am. It's all about the journey. It is all about pouring into them. Because the more you pour into them, the greater they can go. The greater they can go. And that's what the success is rooted at my core, what happened at Loyola. You talk about out-kicking your coverage, I should say down here, out-kicking your coverage with the people that we beat, but it was just, we got more out of them because there was such a bond. That's what we're going to be building here, or continue building there. And it's hard. I will say this, I told every one of them, one of the first things I said on Zoom, it's hard. You signed up to play for a certain coach and a coaching staff. I get that, it's hard, all right? But sometimes that makes them, more resilient in life. It's hard for my kids to move. It's gonna make them more resilient. They're gonna meet more friends. One of my move to Bloomington, Illinois, I met one of the best friends in my life. But you learn resiliency. So it's hard that they lost their coach, but I'm looking forward to building that relationship and see where that goes.
Okay, we'll go third row to Barry Trammell of the Oklahoman, and then Joey Helmer.
Yeah, Porter, sort of apart from put Loyola out of this, you grew up in Greater Chicago, and then you spent 10 years, your most successful part of your career, in Chicago. How has Chicago, the place, sort of formed who you are and what you are?
The question is, I grew up in Chicago. I spent 10 years here in Chicago. How has that place formed who you are? I think all of us here have a hometown. Whether you're living there still or not, you always have roots to your hometown. Doesn't mean you can't make a home somewhere else. And Chicago will always be very close to my heart. I was born there. My family was born there. Just had a great run there. All right, so just like all of us, we have a hometown, those hometown, wherever it comes from. But I've built homes. Home, there's a lot that goes into that word. It's about the people. It's about the relationships. It's about everyday life. And I can't tell you, from this morning at the breakfast buffet, to at the airport, to the welcoming, the people are just unbelievable here. And that's what I grew up with my family, with my parents. And I'm looking forward to building that home here. I spent 6 years in Texas, 5 years in Little Rock, and my wife's from Texas. See, everyone thinks like, how we've been up there so long, they're like, what's gonna happen? You're gonna bring your wife back down south. I'm like, well, I brought her up to the cold. She's gonna be happy as heck. There's no more 20 below. Home is where you make it. And I'm so excited to make Norman my home.
Time for a few more questions. We'll go to Joey Helmer with 247 Sports and then Ryan Chapman.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
When you were at Loyola, you had a board that said created by culture. Has a bunch of terms and phrases on it. So what does culture mean? What does that board mean?
So it's interesting you said that. So he mentioned that there was a lot of articles written about. I had this wall called the culture wall. And the genesis of that wall was Coach Majerus had all these little terminologies, these little coaching phrases. Threw you to the rim, reach for the lights, never beat 3 in a row, escape the paint, pressure the picked up dribble. I mean, there's a million of them. And like, I started writing a notebook down when I was working with them, and then I watched it morph into this amazing way to teach. It was just simplistic phrases, and all of a sudden the players would start using them. So when I got the job, just through osmosis, I just slapped them all on the wall in the locker room. Like, well, if they're gonna hear me say them a million times. And then it developed into the accumulation of all these little things. We were successful, and then when we went to the Final Four, we redid it and made them bricks. And that is one, I've already talked to the people about doing that. And all it is just, it's a technical teaching points, phrases that we use are from Coach Majerus, that we're gonna have our wall of culture. What culture is, it's habits. It's the way you do things every day. You know, it's your standards, your habits, but it's gotta be every day. So many people can talk about culture. I'm gonna be in this little montage. They did a montage of all the coaches that say the word culture at their press conferences, and here I go, now I'm gonna be added to it again. But you gotta live it every day. The key to culture is every day. It can mean different things to different people, but it's gotta be every day, or it's not real. And it's habits, standards, the way you go about your business every day. That's what it means to me.
Okay, 2 more questions. Ryan Chapman in the back, and then Josh Calloway.
Hey, Coach, welcome. So Lon Kruger talked about how he kind of almost underestimated the strength of the Oklahoma brand coming in, particularly what the success of the football program can do to help recruiting. How have you planned to try to utilize that, take advantage of that, and bring the kind of athletes you want into it?
100%. I can't. The question was the branding. He said Coach Kruger underestimated the power of the OU brand. And how are we going to use the success of football to enhance recruiting? And I can't wait to use the successful to what Coach Lincoln Riley's done, his energy, the way he does things. I can't wait to learn from that. So many people in the last week, that brand is of excellence. And to sell excellence. I can't wait to use it. The brand of just that logo, that OU. You know what OU is. Trust me. I started out the last 10 years putting LU in my shirt, and then say, what the hell is LU? And now they know what that brand is in Chicago, but they didn't. Everybody knows what OU is. Everybody knows what OU is. And you know what else is really cool? Everybody knows what that is too. That's a cool brand. That's a cool brand. I was on game day with Reese Davis, and that's why Joe is Joe. He literally FedExed me a pullover. It got there. I opened it up, put it on, put my camera up, and I had to answer questions with Reese Davis live on national TV. That's how it went down. And everybody was like, dang, Porter already's got the gear. They said, man, OU and then the Jordan brand. How many people commented on both? But just that little things that Joe does. He just does a lot of little things. To him to get me it that quick, that I was able to get it and have it there, people recognize OU brand. They recognize Jordan brand. But they also recognize the excellence that's been going on in the other sports. And I can't wait to parlay that on all the sports, but especially football. I mean, it's a household brand. People are so excited. I can't wait to learn and be a part of that. And definitely use that and sell that excitement of togetherness with our recruits.
Okay, our final question this morning will be from Josh Calloway with Sooners Wire.
Coach, just want to ask about just the fan support you already have. I mean, it seemed like as soon as Coach Kruger announced his retirement, you were somebody fans really pushed for. Just, I guess, how nice that is, how you want to frame it to know that fans are really excited to have you.
The question was, when Coach Kruger announced his retirement, and then my name started to surface, and when I got it, there was fan excitement, and I just can't tell you how much I appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to going on the journey with you. Know this, I'm not one to say, hey, we're going to do this right here, this year. I'm one, I don't know what year. All I know is it's every day. Every day you're going to get 110% me. Every day we're going to be building towards sustainability. I mean, the goal is sustainability. You want to build that program where, like we just did. We lost everybody and we were right there to do it again. That's what we are. And so I can't tell you how much I appreciate the welcome. And they're going to get 110% of my energy and trying to win the day every day. So thank you for that. And I thank the people for the unbelievable welcome.
Okay, thank you, Coach. That does it for today's press conference. One more big congratulations to Coach Moser and his family. We're thrilled that you're all Sooners. We know you'll do great things here. Thanks, everybody, for attending. See you soon. Have a great day.
Thank you.